Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dan Tom here, your host of the Protect Your Neck podcast. If you listen on audio, you probably heard some little bit of a change up on the intro this week. A little bit of Yo Mental from Boston, Mass. Of course, we're going to be breaking down UFC 292 from Boston. Apologies for being late, as per usual. Never want to be the late guy, but just got to be the late guy, I guess. Just the thing. And you're complaining. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Dan Tom here. We're going to be breaking down UFC 292. Usually, for almost a decade now, we do recaps and then go into the show. And then I'm one of the few shows who actually recap the picks and plays at the end. Which, by the way, this couple weeks off. Oh my god! I actually got back to listening to breakdown podcasts again. Holy shit! Is it annoying that not only do most podcasts don't do that, but you're just, especially if you have ADD like me, you're like, who the fuck are you talking about? Now, people who write do a better job because when you write, you're forced to not use these lazy crutches of he, she, her, who the fuck are we talking about if you've got ADD, right? Use the fucking name. And then you get lost on who they're even talking about. Oh, did they make a pick? You're having to hit the rewind a bunch of times just to hear what their pick is, because they'll make the pick, but then they'll drift off and keep talking about the fight. And I'm sure I've done this too, but that's why I recap at the end. That's why I recap the picks and plays at the very end. And despite keeping that same energy, people will still complain, oh, Dan, wow, Dan, you're a real asshole coming back. I know, you guys wonder why I've been trying to come back. This is what you guys want, I guess. But yeah, despite that, people still complain, and then even when I come back to them patiently with a nice energy, we're still 0 for nothing. They never fucking show their face, come back, compliment, acknowledge, thanks, my bad, none of that shit. But we're actually going to be placating to those assholes. We're going to be going with the breakdown first, if time permits. Get your questions in the chat. Not that I deserve it, not that I ask for it, but it is monetized. So, those ones will get, the priorities, but there's no exclusivities or anything like that. I'll give love to all y'all who are piling in. Appreciate you. Hit that like button, or don't. I clearly don't really care that much. But I do care about those of you who do, and I do appreciate those of you who do. But yeah, time permitting, we'll get to those. Any questions about the AVC conference or any of that stuff? I put the feeler out there. No one really seemed to care or take me up on it as far as my colleagues go. So, kind of like I predicted. Oh, you're being negative. Am I, or am I just calling shit that happens and I'm pissed off because it just gets tiring? From this end, too, by the way, not just listening to my ass, which I understand we get tired. But yeah, we're doing that. Let me get my fucking name tag on here in case you want to follow me on Twitter. I'm still going to call it RT retweeting Twitter. Fuck X, fuck Elon, fuck this country's obsession with goddamn billionaires when there's actual real shit and real people that are going on with the soup du jour right now, of course, in Maui. Thankfully, I don't have much family there, but that really doesn't matter. We did have a scare with an uncle. Thank you guys who reached out. He's on the list of okay, but there's really no self-service, so no one's been able to speak to him yet. But yeah, there's plenty of people who are dealing with way worse shit over there, and there's way worse shit going on in life. So let's try to keep things fun as I'll my curmudgeon ass can allow for. Of course, we have fun. We play our games. We're talking about mixed martial arts, and it is real life. It is real serious for the fighters, which we shouldn't lose sight of. But as for us, even for people like myself, the reminder is that life's more important. We shouldn't be taking this shit so seriously. That being said, the few of you who have reached out, the few, the proud, not the Marines, but you know who you are. I really appreciate you motherfuckers, man. Help motivate me get back. Of course, this is my 6-year anniversary with MMA Junkie. Even got a retweet on the outlet from that, which led to a lot of love. So I appreciate any time my outlet decides to retweet me. Again, I'm going to be using the words retweet, not repost. But yeah, we'll get to it. Let me just give love to the people who are here for whatever reason. We got Makoto Kayagoku in the house. Very happy you're back, Dan, even if it's just for today. I'm especially glad because it's Whaley Fight Week. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if we get to the recaps. I've still been writing down my notes, plays, keeping track of everything. So I'm keeping that same energy. I'm not missing any of that. We're still being accounted for, still accounting for myself. All that usual shit, or as other people call complaining, which they still will, even though I'm going to skip that portion and give them what they want. for free and recap it for free, which people who aren't for free do that. But okay, I'm not even trying to throw shade, man. Sorry, you guys got to just like ignore me, and I got to like plan to take my vacations. Like a lot of life stuff's been going on. I'm not going to get into it. Like just all craziness, health, medical, family, Hawaii, bunch of stuff, right? Like, but like, yeah, like I get especially bitter, come, between busted my ass and just kind of burnt out right now, and getting the certifications for the judging, the refereeing, doing all these stuff that most of my media colleagues do, doing actual journalistic stuff where I can as well, and just seeing no one gives a shit. You're just like, ah. And then the MMA awards time is when I was alluding to I need to start taking off. Whenever they announce their nominations, I need to just like, it's just a reminder of my ceiling. Oh, Dan's complaining. Like, whatever. I put too much time into this shit. To get these results, but they are what they are. And not hiding from results anyways, but I could have came back on winning weeks, because we actually did have some. We started creeping toward the black. I think we actually quietly got within 3 units of striking distance to getting in the black. And I could have came back on any of those weeks, but I've just legit been busy, folks, and my emotions or how I'm feeling, aside, I've legit been busy, honestly. So, appreciate you guys sending the love, and I'm actually coming back on a week where I got reverse sweeped, which is way too that was like a rarity. Like I'm guessing I could probably still count on one hand, but I probably just used my last little piggy. You know what I'm saying? And like the majority of those piggies off that one hand from a decade of doing this, not being tracked third party through Action Network, but tracking publicly in multiple ways and multiple mediums. Yeah, man, that was just a rarity. But again, I've been really, been joking, I've talked with you guys about it, so it's not anything I talk about behind the scenes as well. But like, yeah, it's the challenge is still open. Name a bad decision, air quotes, injury, TKOs, whatever, that I've been on the right side of. And even if I was on the right side of, did I have a bet on? I'm still waiting on that answer, because I still can't find one. And I'm still reminded of these things. So we're definitely due. Hopefully we're due this week, because I could definitely use it. We've got about 4 or 5 matchups covered through tape for you guys, even though I'm really on the fence about one of them. We'll get to that. May even have a parlay for you this week. Got some numbers that I was just trying to get in. That's why I was kind of late. But oh, thank you, Jin Karasu. Congratulations on 6 years. Appreciate that. Because Shmet, of course, I swear, for somebody even, I feel like I'm always at home working regardless, but even when I'm just like firing on, don't got the contender, don't got this, don't got that, distracting me or whatever, just waiting. It's just always released when I'm out running errands, when I'm finally ready to sleep. Or when I'm about to go live, they decide to release the numbers, and yeah, God forbid I actually try to get a decent end of the numbers, even though it doesn't matter if I get the openers from where I get it, because I get kind of shit availabilities. Oh, Dan, you're complaining. All right, stop. All right, but yeah, we got chronic combat conversations in the house. It feels so right. What's up, guys? I don't know why this feels right, but I appreciate the fuck out of you guys. Go check out them, by the way. Rios in Truesdale in the house, my man over there. My apologies if I ever complain on your show. No, you don't need to apologize, man. If anyone's got to apologize, it's me. Hey, my man Ghost Phantom in the house. We got the, I got an admin in the house. For the judging thing, did you call them out for not scoring body shots? Kevin McDonald did that course, and he actually did a really good job, and he actually mentioned that specifically. And that was a takeaway, not to get too sidetracked or into that, but that was a takeaway. The courses were fantastic. The people doing the courses were fantastic. You had high-level people teaching them and even taking them, there were a lot of air quote elite judges who you often see scorecards taking the judging course, showing no ego, sitting in there, even though it was pretty rudimentary for them, they were still doing that. Even ones that you may or may not get the most criticism, he or she might wear glasses, right? And that person was in there doing their due diligence, was very friendly, open to learning. So again, will it make them any better? Will it make in your eyes? Well, you get in there and learn it for yourself, and I think that you'll have a better say. But for what it's worth, man, like, there is really good stuff being taught. It's just not that they're teaching, like, body work doesn't count. It's just at the end of the day, what is getting more information, I know someone was giving me crap, like, you think you're the only person? Like, no, I don't think I'm the only person. I never say I'm the only person. But God damn it, when you're seeing all the discourse from educated minds, air quotes, media pundits, betters, cool people, randos, whatever, I'm still not seeing that a lot of the times. I'm just seeing people getting up in arms. You know what I'm saying? Or people like overly like defending, and none of them on either side are saying like, guys, what's the common thread of most of these decisions? Body work and leg work, and even when the person gets hurt to the body with the Cub and Hakeem fight, how many times do we see the person that's hurt to the body still get the decision? It's not right. We can I can use my usual Andre Uhl, Jonathan Martinez in Texas with the Joe Solis, right? But that can also be written off. Well, that was Joe Solis. That was Houston, right? Which, by the way, I'd be careful about that. Of course, got to get in touch with some of my friends who do work in that Texas commission and judging, and they're asking, asking like, why I didn't do, and some people ask why didn't you do the judge is going to judge thing or whatever, and I didn't get asked, honestly, but just the fact that like other judges and stuff, whether they're friendly with me or not, are aware of that was pretty cool. So I don't want to like, cast aspersions there. So like, just to keep that same energy, Ben Cartlidge is a judge that I and many hold up high. Like, look at Alex Morono and the Japanese guy, Southpaw. Fight switch, but choked out Li Jingliang. Keita Nakamura, sorry for anybody briefly screaming at their speaker there. He gets hurt to the body. Nakamura, he does a southpaw kick, and then Morono gets hurt to the body and backs up. And the one dissenting judge that still gave that round to Morono was Ben Cartlidge, a very good judge, and I still think he's a very good judge, by the way. But that just happens, right? We'll talk about that body work, Peter Yan and O'Malley, a little more relevant here as we get into the breakdown. But yeah, so they did to shorten up that answer and get into the breakdown. They did they did really, they did a good job of going over that. It's just, are the judges executing it? And if it's just a whole nother thing. Appreciate you guys. Let me get to this breakdown here. Okay. I'll get back to anybody I missed. Best Fight Odds has us jumping all over the place. All right, let's see for timestamp here. We got UFC 292. We got Aljamain Sterling minus 258 roughly. Sean O'Malley challenger comeback plus 210. 13-minute stat there. All right, this fight, in-depth dropped on MMA Junkie. I think the videos probably are up for both. I don't know when the co-main written is dropping, although the betting co-main is out on the Action Network, where I also track my picks and plays and stuff and all that goodies, which I'm still punching in. I just need to make the plays to punch them in, for some of the plays at least, and then anyways, yeah, I already went on that little tangent with the app. But yeah, I'm going with Sterling here. I know, wow, Dan, you really haven't. Listen, I haven't done this stuff in a while, so I'm a little rusty. I just got done with a workout, skipping food. All I had was a little protein bar, and I squeezed my BCAAs in, and that was about it. But yeah, I'm going to go with Sterling on this one. A lot of striker versus grappler comparisons, but Sterling can hold his own. He can be difficult to hit. The counters are definitely going to be live, and not just that, but I do wonder how much O'Malley is working on his front chokes or anything like that. We have seen Sterling get caught in kind of front headlock positions that Cejudo couldn't really capitalize on. But not that I expect O'Malley to get too cute without paying for it. So nothing needs to depend on, but I am curious if that's like a back pocket thing for if a scenario where Sterling is hurt, because I believe it would take that type of club and sub scenario for some sort of O'Malley submission to appear. Knockout and strikes are his main pathway to victory, but not necessarily by knockout as far as the method goes, right? because he could use his strikes to win a decision. We've seen Aljo, even in the decision that I don't disagree with that he won against Peter Yan. But even in that decision, he really started, in his victories even, we've seen him kind of flag. Has a hard time maintaining that pace. Probably has a lot to do with why he's talked about moving to featherweight, this being his last fight, probably at bantamweight, if he, let's say, backpacks O'Malley, but O'Malley really worked his defense, and he loses the round, maybe even loses the round 10-8, but, Aljo's legs are rubber, Is that enough for O'Malley to use that window to, kind of get a knockout, like Drakkar Klose almost did to Beneil Dariush, right, after that round of back control, and Benny just kind of hurt his corner, saying, the opposing corner saying he was tired, got angry, saw red, and just blitzed him, and it paid off, right? But, before that, me or anybody liking, playing Benny was worried for him because he was just like, oh, man, his legs look jello out there, right? And Aljo's been able to backpack and finish 5-rounders before, but maybe he, doesn't get finished, but does enough to lose rounds, is able to get takedowns when he needs to so he doesn't get finished. But, again, the control, not as weight as much as strikes, especially when the strikes appear to have done actual damage, obviously. So you're not only, having a more scoring-friendly form of scoring with strikes opposed to takedowns, which depend on what you do with them, of course. Damaging strikes, you get into that territory of immediate over cumulative, which can be dangerous, but is there for a reason, which I agree with as far as in spirit, despite it can be very much misused to overwrite, not circumvent, because that would declare some sort of intention, but it can kind of undervalue the accumulative nature, which at the end of the day, cumulative is effective striking nonetheless too as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Aljamain Sterling. O'Malley does something even more so than Corey Sandhagen did, and the thing that made me pick not just the small cage, but stylistically in the small cage that made me pick Sterling over Sandhagen was that Sandhagen standing standing against the fence in the open, in scrambles, getting back to his feet, different scenarios, multiple different scenarios. He tends to kind of give his back, and I'm a fan of the get-ups from the MMA lab. You see guys like Brian Barberina, Scott Holtzman do it. They'll look for a cross wrist, and they'll kind of give a little bit of back exposure. Sometimes they'll do it without the cross wrist. They'll reach for it smartly, but sometimes it's just a grab and go, and the grab's not there. It's a heat of a fight. You're trying to grab an arm that they're also punching you with, right? You got to get, kind of almost ass over tea kettle to that point, as far as just, getting up. And you don't want to go ass over tea kettle, but you know what I mean? You want to get your ass up in the air, get to your base, and in that process, good back takers can take advantage of you. And, I saw somebody floating a stat out there, which, again, I appreciate it because it's at least like, it's relevant engagement to technical analysis and this and that, but at the same time, me, I'm not a big fan of stats. Part of the reason why is it's very misleading. Like Aljo, they listed just his last 7 fights, like the amount of takedowns completed, and it's like, I pointed out all the time, when you actually watch the tape, you will find some questionable takedowns, which I did, by the way. Maybe not for this matchup per se, but for others. I think maybe for the Ian Garry sample sizes, they were just counting some weird stuff there that his opponents did that weren't really takedowns in my opinion. But so there's that. Those numbers aren't even really that accurate in the first place, right? Sometimes it's not even like interpretation arguments. Sometimes they will outright flip the control time. See Makwan Amirkhani and Jason Knight, which they've had how many fucking years to adjust at this point? But it's on the stats thing that everybody prances out there like the fucking Bible. But yeah, and then secondly, and we'll get to this, with Neil Magny, right? Because the same applies for him. And you're like, wait, how is this guy, he's not winning titles, Neil is, even though he's the most winning welterweight. How is this guy, even though he's been losing lately and he's looking, definitely hitting toward the advanced parts of his career, and Slash is already there, right? But like, he's still winning a lot of his fights. How's he doing that? How's he winning all these fights, without completing these takedowns? Because some guys, even though they're complete different styles, Aljamain and Magny, it predicates on just them knowing how to navigate the clinch super well. They just have to be there, right? They don't even have to get there from the most advantageous positions. They can actually work from negative positions into the clinch / into positive positions from the clinch. And if you look at the Sterling and Sandhagen, he didn't even get Sandhagen down. He took his back standing. Again, because there was just a little bit of that back exposure. And going back to watch Sean O'Malley's early fights from his, amateur days, which don't really count, to more relevant days from Contender Series on, especially from, John Crouch MMA Lab when he moved from Montana to Arizona on, that's pretty hardwired. Could they? I'm sure they drilled it. Yeah, sure. Maybe more underhook, butterfly, back to the cage like a cheese grater, right? At style get-ups to protect your back from a back taker like Sterling. But, Sterling finds it in weird positions, even off of kicks, right? That's another thing is like O'Malley's going to have counters, and I think front kicks and knees may do him well. But the latter, knees, and all the other types of power kicks, especially low kicks, could get him in a lot of trouble. Sterling's shins are, mush, and like I was wondering about that because I was like, man, I had like an indentation on my shin, and it felt like kind of like mushy. I was like, is this what Sterling's talking about? And I went to check it when I wasn't kicking, and it wasn't there. And I guess maybe that's normal because I just haven't, been doing heavy bag work in a while, and I know I look like a fucking nerd, but got a good left kick on me. And I'm just like, man, can you imagine what an actual fighter's shin is going through? But that being said, how durable is O'Malley, right? Back to my thing about 135ers. Now O'Malley's still on the right side of 20. But even then, he's already showing the signs of the Andre Uls, Montel Jackson, perhaps, if not, coming up soon, right? These guys that are long and lanky and they cut the weight, these are the ones that suffer the weird injuries, right? From 155 Corey Hill all the way down, right? I know we've got two shin snappers at middleweight, one of which fighting on this card. But I'm saying generally, and I'm not talking about shin snappers. I'm talking about just general injuries to cardio depletions, to just diminishing returns in general. And O'Malley is absolutely on that list. He's been on that list, right? He's, as far as his potential for injury. So yeah, how much does he shelve those kicks? Because those kicks, like we saw, even body kicks to leg kicks, like Peter Yan found out, like those can lead to just instant back takes as well. So even if they are drilling, against the fence, get-ups to kind of rewire in those heat-of-the-moment transitions, that's very hard to rewire. And that's where Aljamain Sterling makes his money and takes those backs. So I'm going to go with Sterling by submission. Again, kind of like I alluded to the as far as devil's advocate thinking, to potential pathways to O'Malley besides the obvious of an early knockout. O'Malley, his gas tank isn't the greatest either, but he looks to recover. And Sterling's will worry me. In fact, I think that even if Sterling can win, I think he can win a decision, and if this goes late, I think he can still finish late and dog out a finish late, depending on how O'Malley's looking, right? Depending on how much attritional damage Sterling was able to get done early. But in my opinion, if this goes into round 3, something's wrong for Sterling. I think Sterling should be able to finish this in round 1 or round 2. So I played Sterling by sub, because that's just what he goes for the most. Plus 175 is a solid number. I think I got it for plus 180 in what do you call it? I'll have to check, actually. Why don't I just do it here live? Why don't I do that, Dan? Huh? How don't you do that? Schmet Online. Here we go. Not Schmet Online. It's Schmet GM. No one's paying me, of course, so. You gotta have engagement and followers. Wow! What are these guys saying? Wow! For all that stuff. And you guys know that's not me. Just a curmudgeon-y bastard. Yeah, let's go here. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I also play Sterling round 2. Sterling round 1's 400 is not bad, but I'm not trying to overexpose here. And I think O'Malley is obviously lively. That's his live round 2. So I think the more hot round 2, I think that is for Sterling. Sterling by sub, yeah, plus 180. Let's do that. We go 50 since I'm only doing one round. I'm going a half unit to win 3 units for round 2. and 1 unit to win 1.80 or whatever. You know what I mean? Okay, place bet. And it's probably going to be loading forever like it did before and not go through. All right, next fight, we got Zhang Weili minus 310, Amanda Lemos plus 250. There it is, confirmed wagers. You slow motherfucker. All right, I'll be back to you in a second here because we got plays for this one too, folks. By the way, I think the under 3.5 or under 4.5 is like more than legit, and we'll talk about the unders in both these fights because for insurance, in case the challengers do have their the opportunistic striking challengers, although Amanda Lemos more of a submission threat to win than O'Malley is in his matchup, fair to say. As insurance, I think we have action matchups all around, and the unders are actually pretty decently priced to where if you have a big bankroll, you could take them straight up, depending on what's offered to you and what numbers you caught. But if you're more of the poor man player like myself, we're going to parlay up those suckers and put it with one other third leg. Easy, Dan. All right, close. We'll go to that. But yeah, I'm taking Zhang Weili, obviously. Team Magnum in the house. Yeah, I'm a big Zhang Weili fan. I've talked about the wrestling a lot, and many of you in the chat have mentioned Josh Hinger in particular, and I paid attention to that, folks. And even though I did, was already alluding to if you read my last analysis, say don't be surprised if not just the grappling but the wrestling is won by Zhang Weili in parts, right? That submission really drove the point home, to credit to you guys in the chat. I'm not taking credit to you guys in the chat. Those of you know who you are. You guys are all kind of Team Weili. And so I don't want to point anybody out in particular. I also don't want to point anybody out in particular, because and I'm not going to share who, what kind, what was shared, what I saw. I'm not a big camp intel guy. I don't really share those things, but it is feel nice when you do get the little birdies that share things in your ear, and they kind of match what the analysis is seeing. And let's just say my woo-woo thoughts or my little birdies or whatever you want to say or not say aside. If we're looking at the analysis, that's what I do. That's what we do here on this show. There's a clear grappling and wrestling uptrend. It's more just her aggression, right, which can get her in trouble on the feet, and maybe not so much like an Andrea Lee or early Andrea Lee per se, where they grapple themselves out of position just as fast as they grapple themselves into position. That's not Zhang Weili's thing, but it's just more sharpening those submission things, and those instincts have always been there, which is why something that makes me go for the submission as well. Props. I'm sure if we got another guy who's good at grabbing submission props out there, my guy Liam, the last time I was last guest for a pay-per-view show I did, because I missed the last one, I think, 291, 290. Shout out to my guy Liam. Liam picks fights out there. But yeah, like I look for that instinct, and anytime she's in scrambles, even when it's cost her sometimes, she is going for that back, except she's gotten better and better to the point where even if she doesn't lose that perfect position, she parlays it into that rear crucifix to that one arm variation. I know she still ended up using the two arm to finish, but it was set up for the one arm finish almost style, right? I mean, definitely, she already had crazy back take ability, right? And now that she's actually having technical refinements put to that insane kind of mutant-like athleticism, right? I mean that in the most respectful way possible. I just feel like the submission is live. Lemos can be caught by opportunistic submissions. She is a bit better at scrambling. We saw that in the Marina Rodriguez fight. I know she shows a really good whizzer and better wrestling in the Michelle Waterson fight, and then does that quick turn too, which is kind of like a classic thing, Another classic, it's from, it reminds me of the classic one from the actual like over-under where you have the underhook and then you sweep the lead foot if it's on the underhook side, right? Like you want to do like a kind of like a judo throw. Like, sorry, I don't have the proper term. Fedor would use these, not even for the throw, but Fedor would use them just to kind of break the clinch and then strike off the break, right? He would use the underhook and then hip in on the same high side as he almost whizzer kicked, or he would do it with the whizzer as well if he had the actual whizzer and use that momentum. Sometimes you do that with a whizzer or underhook, and then their head comes down from the hip bump / kind of inside the thigh kick out, right? Their hip comes down, and then you use that to either snap down on a front headlock or go for a front choke altogether. I want to say Suarez used one of those variations in one of her last 2 wins. And Lemos did her variation of it against Waterson, which was nice. But, again, in that round 2, I believe, she shows some good grappling in that Rodriguez fight. And I don't know if her cardio was improved because she actually gets a 3rd-round TKO, which is not like her. She has not gone 5 rounds, even though she's been scheduled for it, I believe, twice now, right? Rodriguez and Andrade wins one, loses the other, both under the mark. Looks better in the 3rd-round TKO, which she gets again. But that wasn't a very torrid pace. Again, to her credit, because she is such a good counter striker, even one of the more air quote noted strikers of 115 strawweight, Marina Rodriguez, was weary to engage. Right. So for that reason, I think that we could have a slower round 1. Depends how we've seen Zhang Weili. She's been very aggressive. And kind of back to that aggression in her last 2 fights, but we've seen her kind of outfight a little bit before and look to counter. For example, the Rose rematch, we saw a little bit of more of that. And also in the Rose rematch, we saw a lot of her wrestling in that, right? That's where we really start to see her wrestling start taking an uptick, that Bangtao Muay Thai Hickman Brothers influence. You arguably start seeing it come to fruition about that fight, right? So maybe we see that. So for that reason, not only am I big on submission, maybe I go and add more, to be honest, plus 400. You still get a plus 390 at some houses, probably higher if you're not at the houses that I'm at, just what I'm seeing. But I also think round 2 is going to be the hot round, and I played round 2 at I already played it in one house, but I'm going to add round 3 here as well, live with you guys. Let's see what I get for it. Yeah, it was 400 for the sub. I want the rounds though. The rounds are up and out, baby. Plus 450, that's the same. Plus 700. Okay, it's the same prices. Plus 450, plus 700. Yeah, the submission plus 400. So I got 100 on the submission. And then, what did I do? I did a half unit here. Slightly more exposure. Still under 2 units, but just under a 1.5. 1.5 unit on that main, right? Yeah, we're doing a half unit plus 400 round 2. I believe that's the hot round. That's 2 unit return. We'll do a Scottie Pippen 0.33 at plus 700 for round 3. That's 2.31 return. And then hopefully it's... Oh, wait, no. That's my sub. Whoops. Plus 450. I did the wrong one. There. Wait, it's 225 back. Sorry for the round 2. Scottie Pippen 0.33. 231 back. And then over here, we had sub for 100 at 400. Obviously, you don't need a mathematician there. That's 4 units back for that. So hopefully it's by sub regardless of the round so that we pay that off. But there's potential 2-unit bonus stackers, or in case, it is by TKO, then hopefully she doesn't do it in round 2 or round 3. Then we still profit. Not a lot. Just under a unit or something probably, but at least we still profit something there if she does end up getting the TKO. But those are the hot rounds, I believe, given the pacing that she brings, and I think that pacing will bring about the gas tank issues for Lemos, who is only getting older cutting this weight. Again, I think she's 36 at 115. We'll talk about Magny 36. It's at 170, a little different. Lemos, I believe, has been fighting for around the same time, except she's at 115, and we'll see what she looks at the scales, folks. But at the media day, she just didn't look like she was enjoying herself too much there. I don't blame her. I'm just saying, for what that's worth. By the way, shout out to my guy Clint if you want weigh-in stuff and all that kind of analysis. And Clint's been fucking hot lately, man. Go follow my guy there at Die Hard MMA. Excuse me. All right. I'll come back to your guys' comments in a second. I just want to get through this breakdowns and stuff. Ian Garry minus 500. Neil Magny plus 380. All right, I've alluded to this one. This one's been on my mind, as you can tell. Because I just got done watching tape. And I'm on the fence, man. Speaking of my guy Clint, I am part of me wants to trust my balls, right? because I'm just like, oh yeah, like everybody calls out Neil Magny, and usually it's people with a stylistic edge to it. You know, Gilbert Burns was calling him out, and we knew what was going to happen there. And usually it's the Brazilian jiu-jitsu Brazilian guys who mess up Magny. Everybody else seems to have a tough fight. Guys like Max Griffin, and even through brief moments, Tony Rocco, less so, but also in brief moments, Michael Chiesa, which was part of the reasoning for picking him, and that pick fell on its ass, right? That looked really awful. Speaking of trusting your balls, right? He wasn't even as big of an underdog. You know, we've seen those guys kind of give them tough fights, and Chiesa did have the size parity. But, again, that was I picked Chiesa going into that fight. There were reasons to pick him. And I know it's just hard to sell those reasons after him losing as bad as he did. Like, a really bad loss, right? Like, one guy looks really good, and the other guy just looks really awful. Like, my ass was in the air on that one, right? And then he loses by like the same 3 ways, you know. It's just like, oh, and then he's on the desk, so it's really, you know, easy to just shit on him in hindsight. But hey, I cashed some nice dog money on my Chiesa against Neil Magny, right? And there were, you know, Ian Garry obviously works with good grapplers. He's a good grappler himself. He is a black belt in judo, for what that's worth. I don't know if he made it to Brazil like he was talking about going to do George St. Pierre style to train his jiu-jitsu, but yeah, obviously the guy can grapple. The guy can counter grapple, even though it's not really his thing. He likes to get it done on the feet. I think that's his best pathway to victory here. But yeah, man. Aside from the betting value angle, you know, you really don't even got to justify any analysis. This is the hype. This is a hype from a market who, you know, will just, you know, when I reference Ireland to England and everything in between, as far as betting their fighters at the betting window, it's true. It is true. Not even just betting, right? Even hype. Look at, you know, and I'm not coming at any media members, but it's a fact. I mean, even the best media members that I respect, whether you respect them or not, even the best ones, if they are being honest with themselves, they are the worst motherfuckers at being biased. I know everyone picks on Americans, and there's people like me who also shit on my own, you know, or this or that, and which I don't consider a shit. I just call things for what they are. But there is no doubting that, no one shows their bias more than those. Although Canada does a unique thing that I'll call you Canadians out for, because I love you Canadians, but you guys know you do this. Is like, and it just becomes really apparent when it's like some dude from Jamaica or some guy from Brazil migrating. All the Canadian people will be like, oh yeah, we got a Canadian fighter. Oh, good Canadian boy, eh? Like, I know you guys have been like fucking hurting. Your MMA scene's been hurting, and it's coming back, and I'm wishing you guys the best. You guys fucking deserve it. Love y'all, Canada. You guys also know you guys are fucking terrible. You guys are like, you know, the very few people can beat Britain, UK, and America when it comes to colonial like activities, but where Canada comes in first is just claiming anybody who even flirts with citizenship. Like, you could go on a vacation, but I'm thinking of moving you. Well, you're an honorary Canadian now. We're claiming you. Come here, Max Holloway. Like, am I right? I mean, are they? And I'm all love Canadians, but are they not the fucking worst of that? Wow, Dan, you're really making yourself popular. Continue to shit on more people instead of breaking down fights. But it's true, and we saw that with George Hardwick, right? And George Hardwick wasn't even, bringing the juju on himself. He wasn't out here going, I'm carrying the Contender Series card. He is, just seems like a humble cat, which is why I between that, working the body, you can see why Dan Tomlin's a guy like George Hardwick. Again, not shitting on these people. But I'm like, man, you guys are just, I would argue you're making it worse. You were asking the MMA gods with the amount of ridiculous hype, and it's going on here with Ian Garry, and Ian Garry is playing into it. It's a guy who, I mean, not just is a spoiler in these spots, not just has won last minute in 5-rounders at elevation against other hype guys in these spots, even though I feel like Kelvin Gastelum especially gets at least a draw, especially if it's under the criteria interpretation of today. nonetheless, Neil Magny got those wins. In fact, he's got so many wins, he is the wins fucking leader at welterweight. And even though you can look at it and make the argument that goes, well, when it's not the Brazilian blowouts, I'm not talking about, a waxing job. When it's not the Brazilian blowouts of people taking Magny down, there you go, Dan. You're having a little more fun now. Taking Magny down and going for a submission. You could make an argument it's taller fighters. Taller fighters who can kind of counter, right? The Max Griffin, what he was kind of onto before he kind of lost himself in an ugly fight. That kind of he tends to do, right? Overperforms but doesn't get the credit for it, kind of a deal, which I can relate to. Not shitting on Max there, just saying what it is, right? Tony Martin, who has an argument for winning that fight if you go back and watch it, if you really want to lean into the, especially if you want to lean back into the immediate over a cumulative argument, your interpretation of that. You could make a case for Tony Martin, right? Chiesa we mentioned, right? So that's there. And when I see Neil Magny kind of lunging and looking ugly like some of those last fights, like the D-Rod fight or the Phil Rowe fight, where he won those fights even, you're like, oof, I could see that slip counter straight punches really just doing a thing, right? But you got to ask yourself that question is, well, if size parity affects one tall person, well, it's still a two-way street. How much does it affect the other tall person? And we've seen Ian Garry against some taller fighters too, but obviously he's going to lack in the experience and always for Magny. But we've seen him against a lot less tall guys, a lot less things. We've seen him hurt guys before, like Gabe Green, who are going to still be there, like Magny will be. And he still was able to win those fights. But yeah, that is something, Both guys, one takes the round off for Reeds, the other kind of just is a slow starter, which is Magny. So does that help Magny here? The fact that he hasn't had sparring, and he's got a guy who doesn't have the highest output, doesn't really put combinations together, at least early, usually waits to get his reads, waits to get his opponent hurt, does Ian Garry does. Usually has kind of bad first rounds or is at least open to, at the very least, bad rounds early. Does that allow Neil Magny to get his sea legs under him? Because Neil Magny hasn't really had to spar to prepare, whereas Ian Garry has. That being said, Ian Garry's been sparring Chris Curtis, who is, closer to my height than, at 5'9", than a 6'3" Neil Magny. Complete opposite matchup. That being said, Ian Garry's been scoping him out for a while. That being said, Neil Magny, I feel like the fucking little guy from, Princess Bride doing a fucking shuffle game here. With that being said, Neil Magny, he's not one to talk like this. And I know it's just interviews and you can take him with a grain of salt. But he's been waiting to put a spanking on him like it was his own kid, apparently. Child abusing Neil Magny. I wasn't expecting to say that. Just kidding. I'm not trying to play into that angle and be salacious here. But, you know what I mean? He's had this guy on his radar. And Neil Magny is one for short notice fights. He's proven that in the past. He says so himself. He's like, I love opportunities like this. And he said, in fact, he was already headed here. And he was looking at the roster because whenever he goes to corner, he looks at what fights to jump in. It was more than just your typical bullshit. It was too, almost like it's too. Whether you agree with it or not, it's like this is too good too well thought to be a lie. Kind of a deal. And trains at elevations, kind of guy that's always training. Again, he's 36, but he's only just entered his 13th year of fighting. He's had a lot of fights in those 13 years. That's the argument there. I have been one myself to say he looks like he's kind of coming to his end. We're really seeing Neil kind of fall apart here, which is what worries me. But he's also an ebb and flow guy where he's not even at his best back in his prime during his winning streaks. If you really go through it with a fine-tooth comb, he looks better in some fights than he does others. Some fights he looks much more fluid on the feet, really in tune, sticking behind the jab. Other fights, he forgets about the jab. He's just kind of flailing around. And again, I pointed to, even recent fights where he still won, and he was older doing that, But it's at the same time, it's man, I could see Ian Garry, maybe not Ponzinibbio him, but if Ian Garry can come out and put the gas on him early, and really was preparing for Neil Magny and had some notes that were really good that he could dust off. Maybe he does get him out of there in that first round. But if he doesn't, if it's not an opportunistic finish, you're in there with a guy like with Neil Magny who's going to match the reach, match your leg kicks. And I think that the harder kicker is Ian Garry. Surprise, surprise. I think that the harder puncher, not so much that he's a power puncher, but he's just so precise and he's the more impactful puncher, is, yes, it is Ian Garry. But something I noticed that whether Ian Garry rocks somebody, whether he is rocked, or just in general, because just in general, he puts himself where you don't want to put yourself in Neil Magny fights, and that's between the inner black octagon lines and the fence. Now, he didn't do it in the Song Kernan fight, but Song Kernan, had a bad start and still ended up rocking and dropping Garry in the first round. Song Kernan has, you want to talk about Magny has a lot of miles. Song Kernan's got a lot of miles. MMA, kickboxing miles, older dude. The kind of guy they trot out for a reason in the first place, right? That fight, Ian Garry was pressuring more, but generally, he will either decide himself and or it is not hard to put him to the cage. It is also not hard to clinch him because I'm guessing because of his judo black belt, he is so comfortable in the clinches that he is just like, oh yeah, it's all good, and he'll do the thing that like Frank Camacho, Beneil Dariush. I'll use this example because Frank Camacho, I believe, is got some, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but I believe he's got some judo to him as well. Maybe a judo black belt, definitely judo chops. And a lot of those judo guys, they'll do the, not the turtle where they're like on their hands and knees, but they'll do the standing kind of tripod, right? Where their feet is planted and they're just bent in half of the ground and their hands are almost down on the mat, right? And they're maybe touching so they don't get kneed in the face. Somebody like gets over and starts they shuck them to the side and they get to that rear waist cinch, which by the way, I believe everybody but two of Ian Garry's opponents have gotten to that. Maybe even, all but two. Think about that for a second. Again, whether they, like I was setting up just briefly, whether they were, and it was always, whether they were rocked like Gabe Green, he immediately gets to it right after he's rocked. Even gives him an opportunity to lock up some front chokes and a Darce and this and that. Garry doesn't grab, not interested in it, lets Gabe Green up, and because of that, Gabe Green gets up. And in fact, one of them, I don't even know if it's Gabe Green or somebody else, they do the poor man's version of the getup, the exact getup that Neil Magny does. They used the single leg getup, except they didn't even have the single leg, the under the ass single leg. They didn't even have like 3 of the 4 parts needed for the getup, and they were still able to get up. Not just get up whilst hurt, but immediately get to the rear waist cinch where Neil Magny makes his money. Again, I believe all but 2 of Ian Garry's opponents in the UFC have gotten to that position. Now, Neil Magny is not Damian Maia. He is not game over there. But again, back to that Aljo thing where you can't just go look at stats. You can't just go look at takedowns completed, even if they are, air quotes, accurate stats that you, I, or the DCs of the world agree with, which they are not. But even if they are, back to that Aljo example, I went back to watch that Tony Martin fight. You're like, okay, well, how do you... And again, there's an argument for Tony Martin winning that fight. It's maybe not the best example, but I think he goes 0 for 6. You're like, how do you beat Tony Martin? Because it didn't matter. He didn't need the takedowns. He is... for whatever you want to criticize about Neil Magny or his lack of power, he is doing what everybody should be doing, and I scream from the corner for Oscar to do, which I would like to, help contribute to the optics for him winning the fight. He's in there doing it. I'm not taking any credit for that, obviously. I'm just, as far as what we're scoring on here, right? And what we're screaming at our TV screens when you or I are betting or whatever the case is. Strike, because we know how much that scores under the criteria. It's easy to score this. It's hard to score this. What is this? What do you really have there? You probably get taken down from there if you get too cute with it, right? If you don't really have it. You need to strike, and what Neil Magny does do is, he'll fail on a single leg, but he's getting in 3 to 4 strikes there. He's wearing you down, and Garry is not a guy who's going to wear down like a Martin or others. Because Garry, who knows? He has won 5 rounds before. He doesn't look like a guy that gasses, but, it's a self-proclaimed cardio thing, right? I'm going to go ahead and believe him because it looks like he's got good cardio. I don't think Neil Magny's going to gas him. But again, even when he's out in space, if he's not putting out the output to match Magny, how is he going to match the output in the clinch? And if he does go to match the output, will it only open him up for said takedowns? and make those optics where you get Magny just edging out 2 of the 3 rounds. This is really greasy. So it's like, do I trust my balls? Shout out to my guy Clint, which, by the way, I think Clint's big on Ian Garry. So it's like, I don't want to fall in that trap where, like, the Chiesa one or many of the other ones, you name it, right? Where, Dan's being contrarian. And it's not even like, and this could be one of those things where it's like, you run the risk of, not that I like doing this, by the way, and y'all are annoyed of it. I don't blame you for being annoyed with it, by the way, where I do the analysis was right, but the play was wrong. Like, no, this is just one of those straight up where I just look like an idiot. I've owned up and pointed out just in this episode before, like with the Chiesa pick, right? And everybody's doing their victory lap, and I just got to watch everybody doing their dance, and I'm looking like an idiot. Everybody's a genius. I'm a dumbass. And when I don't, sack up for these ones, that's when they hit, right? So we're going to see where I end up, but, like, man, I don't know. I feel like taking a flyer on Neil Magny as a pick. I don't know if I'm going to have the balls to end up on that quick picks and prognostications. Do I end up picking him? It's like that's where I'm leaning to right now, folks. I guess more is the question, do I have the balls to play him, right? Who cares? It's just a fight pick. More than justified here, what we talked about, right? The rear waist cinch allowance, the output, the upset potential, the proven winner, the value side, the numbers, the trends on playing spoilers, the inconsistencies that were there. Maybe it's not age. Maybe this is an upswing, just like maybe I'm due for an upswing. God forbid, right? Maybe that's it here. And boy, would it be fucking hilarious, right? And I'm not rooting for any of my friends to lose their bets, especially if they're really big on it. Like, if I end up betting Magny, I'm talking about, like, what? At most, what? Like a unit flyer, maybe a half unit by decision, right? We'll see. If I don't have anything for the round robin, even if I were to pick Garry, I can't play him. And I'm not shitting on anybody who is playing him. In fact, shouts to the guys that I shouted out earlier. They actually have angles that they're playing him if you're interested on how to play the Garry side. But personally, I want nothing to do with it, especially that money line price, that chalk. Get me away. And I'm not even like a guy like, fade the hype. Like, I was a guy like defending Garry, if you remember the last breakdown. I was saying, no, he's going to knock out. I didn't call that high kick, but I said I picked him. I said he's going to knock out D-Rod. And I said, don't get confused. I know we want to hate on this guy because of the Conor McGregor thing. I said don't fall into the trap. I know it sounds like I'm falling into that trap. No, I just think I'm just calling out the signs that are in the air, and it's fucking hilarious when the Nate Diaz's of the world or whoever come and fuck up the plans. I'm sorry, but I love that shit. I'm not saying it's going to happen here. I can't hide my biases to root for these, but I don't think that I'm falling into that trapping regardless of what I pick or what I play. I think there's good reasons for it. Regardless of what you pick here, I warn you about the chalk with Ian Garry. And again, even if I pick Garry, nobody should be giving me shit if they see a play and or round robin leg play on Magny by decision just because of the freaking odds, right? Just because of the odds. If anything, and if you're somebody who is on Garry, don't like what I'm saying, heavily exposed on Garry, well, instead of getting mad, why don't you look at that Magny by decision line and realize that you probably only need to sprinkle a little bit of your bankroll to hedge yourself out there, especially if you got him in a bunch of parlays and stuff, right? So that's food for thought there. Leaning Magny. Next fight, Marlon Chito Vera, minus 198. Pedro-Munhoz. I just listen to Michael Bisping calling a Pedro-Munhoz fight. He does not say it like that. This is in my head. It's just Pedro-Munhoz. I just picture him saying it that way. Rewatching Warrior, by the way, coming up to the Michael Bisping scene soon, coming up. Because I want to rewatch before I watch season 3. Love that show, by the way. It's fucking awesome. Chinese, baby. Chinese history. Alright, but yeah, there's no Chinese history here. This is a fight between a Brazilian guy versus an Ecuadorian guy. So this is dangerous. Like, part of me wanted to put Marlon Vera in the parlay that I was speaking of earlier, but because it's like, I don't want to get cheeky picking Vera here, but it's like, what? The under is priced that high? Oh, it feels like Vera, the way they're trending, Vera could get the finish here. But then you remember Vera's kind of not just bad performance, but it's just stuff that he's always been prone to. I had to remember at least, as I forgot that Munoz had that performance against Chris Gutierrez, which, say what you will, you still have that suspect where Munoz at best has a good round one and let's go with the fight almost, we'll kind of let people back into the fight. It feels like it's good movers that have always kind of troubled Pedro Munhoz. Otherwise, it's guys who can, that are really technical, well-rounded, but even they have to get into the technical, dogged affairs, whether it's like Jimmy Rivera with the split decision, or Jose Aldo with the masterclass, but still kind of a dogfight, right? I mean, you really have to keep his output up, and like Aldo was glad it was a clear as shit victory, but he was taking breaths like, thank God that one's over, because he knew he had to max out his energy in a 3-rounder. If it was 5 rounds, it would have been a much more trickier management, especially if Pedro-Munhoz decided to actually turn it up. And part of me wonders, I went back to watch the O'Malley fight, Munhoz's last fight, and I'm like, well, he's not going to have to worry about Vera doing fancy footwork, because Vera's gotten better, but he's not a fancy mover. He's still a guy who kind of will plod and prod and wait for the heavy counters and moments, right? Even at his best. And now he's only got 3 rounds to work. It's not a 5-round fight. That's a little more trickier, right? Like, now he's back down to, like, Marlon Vera was kind of hitting his hot girl summer with those 5-round affairs. He was able to shine, right? It got shut down by Sandhagen. Okay, well, Sandhagen, that's not so much of a fluke. We've seen he's actually made legitimate improvements in his wrestling. I'm glad I stayed away from that fight. Hey, maybe Vera's some good luck for me, because that was my last good card this year, was San Antonio. My best card last year was San Diego, where Vera was on the winning side of that one. He headlined that card. He's not headlining this card, so maybe that's the trick. It's got to be Vera headline cards where I hit my biggest cards, but maybe that's still good juju either way. But either way, maybe I do over-the-counter if I'm looking for a parlay, at the book that I go to. So I'll probably go this weekend. I'm glad I didn't go last weekend, by the way, reverse sweep. I've seemed to have known when to stay away from the book on those weekends, at least. So it's just my online ducats that I'm giving away and haven't had to do any kind of what do you call it, deposits or anything. So we're still on the same poi plant here. A little Hawaii reference, but yeah, man, this one, I don't know, man. I'm getting weird vibes from this one. It's like maybe Pedro Munhoz is finally, maybe he has a late resurgence, but then again, he's 36, and again, I know I'm defending 36-year-olds so far this card, but I will say the statistics for the bantamweights at 36 a little bit different, right? Just like I was being a little more negative on the 36 prospects of Amanda Lemos. Maybe Lemos is 35. I have it right in front of me. Why bother looking, Dan? Because you're about to move on. You don't want to ruin your momentum, Dan. So I'm going to go and pick Marlon Vera still by decision, but this is not one where I'd feel comfortable with the chalk on it. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for their plays here or make you feel nervous. I might end up on the same boat with you, in fact, right? I'm just saying I don't feel great about it. Don't feel great about it. I'm trying to keep this in somewhat order, which means I have to scroll. Mario Bautista, minus 218, facing Blackshear, plus 180. Pretty close lines considering. Makes me tempted to actually play Bautista in the spot, even though some people I respect are taking some flyers on the Blackshear by sub, which I don't hate. It's like, can he channel his inner Chaz Skelly or Chris Lieben, right? I don't know if they did 7-day turnarounds, but I believe both those gentlemen did 2-week turnarounds, and I believe at least the second fight, they won by submission, right? Lieben triangle to Akiyama, is that right? And then, was that it? Or does he turn around after that and fight Aaron Simpson and win by TKO? Who knows? But maybe that's out. But yeah, maybe he can still channel it and still get the win there. But I got to pick Bautista. I'm going to go look, maybe wait for quick picks in case I see something that I have that Leonardo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, moment where I see something on tape. Well, I can't not pick that. But yeah, it's tough. That's tough. I feel like Bautista with his wrestling, being Aljamain Sterling for Sean O'Malley, he's going to be sharp, and we'll be able to dictate. But we'll see. Bouncing around here. Fucking stupid site. Brad Tavares, minus 265. Chris Weidman, plus 215. It's hard to even analyze this one, right? Because, A, there's the obvious elephant in the room. Weidman, the shin snap. He was already on some crazy kind of degrading streak, although I still failed to fade him when I picked Mario Akhmedov. I was brutally reminded of that. And then on the other side, as much as I love Tavares, I'm speaking objectively. The guy's been fighting for a while, and even though he's never gotten the flowers he deserves, pissed me off The man's been, making a whole damn career at middleweight. Just making a whole career. Like, he had, 4 fights, and then was set to, like, get fed to the wolves and just go straight into the UFC. Fighting the Yoel Romeros, Israel Adesanya's, Robert Whittaker's. Like, he's just fought literally fucking everybody. Never had a stint where he was cut, close to getting cut. Like, I mean, say what you will. What he has done, it's incredibly hard, and it deserves the utmost respect. Respect that he does not get. Those are all facts, regardless of how you feel on him. Put some fucking respect on his name, please. Which I'm sure he's probably not getting that much respect. But the betting lines would tell you different, Dan Tom, because he is a big favorite here, minus 265. What did he open as? Did he open this big? Open to 270. So, yeah, everyone's just afraid to touch this one. So maybe he's not getting a lot of respect because everyone's like, yeah, I don't know about Brad Tavares. Well, I parlayed Brad Tavares because it's going to be biased, and I needed a leg. Yeah. Wow. Not going to make any mess of jokes here. I needed a leg, and this fight looked right for the taking. God damn it! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hopefully not at the expense of a leg. But yeah, I'm going to take Brad Tavares. I parlayed him. Parlayed it to him. My great English here. Unexpected error have occurred. Fuck you guys. Sorry. I just hate everything. Waiting for Schmet Online to fucking do its thing. Come on, you fuckos. This window. Yeah, your gibberish fucking worst text formatting ever. Yeah, under 3.5 minus 155. I think that's a good deal. Again, if it gets past round 2 for Sterling O'Malley, that something went wrong there. So, like, you could actually play that straight up if you want to, but I'm already have 1.5 unit exposure to Sterling. Do I really want to put the 1.5/1.55 to just potentially make back a unit? And then what if Sterling grapples him long, and then I'm out that 1.55, and then I'm really needing him to sub because I missed round 2 at that point. Now I'm just needing the 1.75 to, and I'm still under, right? It doesn't make sense at that point. I'd still come up in the negative. So not for me. But if I could justify it with some shared exposure for some plus money coming back, that still fits into the winning conditions of the opponent for potential hedge factor, well, I will parlay that with the under 3.5 minus 205. A little more dangerous, but again, I believe if it gets in round 3, it's something's going wrong for Aljo. If it gets in round 4, it's just we're into a weird fight territory for Zhang Li and Amanda Lemos, right? So I felt that 3.5 is as safe as it's going to get, and again, it's just more for a hedge in case Lemos does take out Zhang. It's going to be in the first 3 rounds, right? I think we can agree on that. So I parlayed those. Those 2 are not enough, though, so I wanted to add in a third with Tavares, because I wanted to play Tavares, but I don't know how to play Tavares, and I don't want to lay, obviously, that amount of chalk. That's asking for parlay material. So I parlayed all 3 of those, and I did 150 to get 3.54 backs over 3.5 units. So if, O'Malley knocks out Aljo and or Lemos knocks out Zhang, so long as it happens under 3.5 rounds and Tavares wins, we make all that back and still profit a small amount, is how I looked at it. That's why I went with 1.5 units instead of 1 unit. I'll get that minus 105, minus 155, minus 265. Let me put that in. Minus 155, minus 155, minus 205, minus 265. Bam. Yeah, it's plus 237 is that the number. So, yeah, that's a plus 237 parlay there. I know, I'm parlaying. I haven't had good luck at parlays. But, I haven't had good luck at anything. So, why let that stop me? We got 1.5 units plus 237. The unders, co-main, and Tavares. I don't know what the fuck order we're going to go in next, so I'm just going to go with HOBOCOP, baby. HOBOCOP. That's right. He is packing. And you don't know what. Minus 355 versus Bautista-Blackshear plus 280. Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure Tiuliulin still trains out of my gym there, Extreme Couture. And it doesn't matter because I'll still pick against a fighter, try to do my job. Although I will admit I haven't looked into this one. I'm obviously going to be leaning and probably picking HOBOCOP. Shout out to Shane Kiley on Twitter. He said HOBOCOP. He goes town to town, racially profiling people in trouble, or sounds like a Bolsonaro favela initiative. He looks like he's a part of some Bolsonaro favela initiative. He's HOBOCOP, baby. Dead or alive, you're coming on me. Isn't that what he said? Didn't he mess it up or something? And he said, dead or alive, you're coming on me or something. I don't know, but it'd be funny if he did. That's how I'm going to remember it. Jesus, damn, what the hell's wrong with you? But the fact is, I've not, as much as I have so much glee, clearly, you might want to look into that, talking about HOBOCOP here, he has been terrible for me for betting, right? Because you get that fight where he, again, it's a close decision. It can go either way, but of course we know what that means, especially if I had money on it. I lose that decision to Armen Petrosian. And it takes a guy like Petrosian, who is already getting overhyped, and half the people that bet on him thought he was like the kickboxing Petrosian, which he wasn't the same guy. Then he gets pushed into a bunch of like just middling fights that almost kind of get him nowhere or whatever, and is kind of just like, didn't he just lose his last fight or whatever? And like, in other words, I got proven right on him, but of course I have to pay money to be proven right on him because I lose these crucial fucking ones. Just like he fights, what is that last guy, the Bruno Ferreira guy, where I'm like, this guy's an unproven guy. Like, round 2, it's easy. Like, HOBOCOP beats this anywhere he wants. Like, granted, I may have cashed with HOBOCOP against Jong Young Park, Iron Turtle, but I love Iron Turtle. I had to pick against my boy there, and even that one, I had to sweat that out. That was not easy money by any means. That was the one time I cashed by him. It's like when he's supposed to win, he wins. We're supposed to lose, we're supposed to lose, he wins. When he's supposed to win, he loses. Pick Cheating Ninja Kawani, round 1 knockout. He arguably almost got it. Maybe he should have got it, right, with that crazy fold flap. But somehow that doesn't put HOBOCOP out. He comes back to ruin my night there, right? And then, again, back to the Bruno Ferreira. Unproven guy against a proven guy. Easy money. Let's go. You burned me once against the unproven guy, contender series style. You're not going to get me again on at least especially with the same guy here, HOBOCOP. Nope. I'm looking right. The analysis is looking good, and then boom! All of a sudden, right before we get to that mark where his percentages jump exponentially mathematically up from the sample size and the numbers, the information. No, gets knocked out, and then what happens to Bruno Ferreira's next fight? I get proven right. No, he was what we thought. But of course, I had to pay money to figure that out, and to be proven that I was right, and then not cash when was actually proven I was right. Dude, you're just complaining. It's like, yeah, am I, or is it, I'm just pointing out the fucking, irony's probably the wrong word. I don't want to be like fucking what's her name from the 90s and misusing that. But you know what I mean. It's just, it's twisting. Just give me the red light. Don't let me stop letting me pull up to these fucking yellow lights and having the light skip me. Just give me the red light. I'm not even asking for a fucking green light. Anyways. So yeah, I clearly have PTSD when it comes to betting HOBOCOP. Austin Hubbard minus 180, Kurt Holobaugh plus 150. Guys, by the way, hit the like button, share. Appreciate you guys, all that stuff. Probably should share this myself on the old Twitch feed. Let's go in there. Alright, we'll share that. I as you guys know, I mean, I actually like get the early tapes to watch stuff before you guys can. Not trying to brag. I'm just saying that to set up that like I still don't watch tough. I don't care to be Mr. Access, cool kid, know before you, or any of these things. Although as I may or may not be thinking as out loud right now. When did the betting lines get released? Maybe I was missing something. Anyway, no, just don't want to throw that out there. I don't bet on things I cover that way. Anyways, Jesus Christ, James Kraft myself here. Jesus, no, but it's funny because I actually legitimately don't. I don't even like bet contender series. People ask me if I bet contender series. Like, I probably could, but I want to keep my grading biases clean, and I don't even watch this shit tough. That being said, of course, it was the veterans who made it through. Kurt Holobaugh's a guy who I root for, but I feel like Austin Hubbard by decision is probably what's going to happen. I didn't look into this fight. I probably won't look into this fight. And regardless if I look into it or not, regardless if I play it or not, you guys know my luck with prelims. So take that for what it is. But Dan, isn't Tavares in the prelim? Shut up! Shut up! Maybe I should make a play before that so that my hedge parlay doesn't get fucked with. Because, again, whether it's prelims or just my first play of the night, like I'll wait till the main card and then that first play will still fucking go down. And I'll just be like, fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. All right. Next. We got, where the fuck is that line still up? Shouts to you guys in the chat, by the way. I'm going to be getting to you guys shortly. Andrew Petroski, minus 238. GM3, plus 195. Oh, my God. It's taking me like, it's like must not fap gif. Like, it's me, must not bet GM3. Cooper Troop, my guy. Love me some GM3, so I'm going to be biased. And Petroski, not the sharpest tool in the shed, but appears to be sharpening his tools. It's proved that he can recover despite looking like he's always on the verge of gassing. So it's like, it's not even like, whether I pick Meerschaert or not, you play Meerschaert round 3. No, you just kick for coverage and you play his money line. Because honestly, it's not even sub or round 3, which is the usual angles if you were to like GM3. Like, I think his best angle is maybe like the Bruno-Silva fight without the finish. Like, he just outboxes and edges out Petroski, even like he did Anders, even though he technically lost that fight. He won that fight. It's like that. It's like, I think it's like Eric Anders GM3. That's what this fight looks like. So, we'll see. Part of me, again, if that's my analysis, and I'm going to go revisit some, just to see just how bad my guy GM3 looked. No offense to GM3, just got to be honest, right? How bad it looked. But maybe that was just those fights, right? Maybe it's like a Neil Magny thing. You don't know what these guys are going through. Neil Magny said he was going through some shit, right? And he fights kind of inconsistently anyway, so whether he was or wasn't, there are reasons why maybe he didn't look good, win or lose, that I want to be respectful to. Like, I'm doing fucking terrible. I'm going through a lot of shit from all angles. Like, yeah, I can obviously relate to that angle, but I'm obviously not fighting in a fucking cage, so there is that, right? That being said, so I don't want to condemn anybody, but maybe it's the sadness hedge. Shout out to Phil McKenzie from Hebney Hands for that term. Maybe it's the sadness hedge that has me leaning toward Petroski, but even if you see me at Dan Tom MMA on fight day with a GM3 as my pick, I may be reserved to pick him, especially if I end up like taking a shot on Magny or another dog who we will talk about here shortly. Brad-Katona minus 175. Cody Gibson plus 145. Cody Gibson is not the dog I'm talking about, but I will be rooting for Cody Gibson solely because I cannot stand listening to Brad-Katona. I'm sorry, I am a nerd. I suck. You cannot stand listening to me, and I don't blame you. But holy shit, are there just some things where you're just like, what the fuck? Like, I just want to start punching babies when I hear him talk. I don't know what it is. It drives me nuts. Like it's like the scene where it's like the stock market, everybody's quiet, and I don't know if it's like a Simpsons scene, but somebody comes in, and I want to do this one day myself, and just start going, right, sell, and everybody, they just drop their papers and throw their coffee down, they start reaching and start pulling their slips and like crowding somebody, right? Like, that is like that's like a bucket list of mine, like one of the, like jump off a pirate ship and dive into a body of water with a knife in your mouth, right? Like there are certain things that you have to like scratch off your bucket list in life. Like that is one, like going to the New York Stock Exchange and cause fucking chaos. Like cause one of the, and just get everybody, which is, by the way, you don't really have to do that because you just got to be like the first person to post a play to beat the line on MMA Twitter, and that's everybody's like, oh my god, I'm losing value, I didn't beat the line, CLV bar. Sorry, that's all I see when I see you guys, by the way. I love you. I know I look crazy and stupid doing that. I look stupid in general. I'm not denying these things, but again, like with talking about the Canadians, or talking about Canadians adopting everybody and their mothers, talking about UK to Ireland, backing their people and overhyping the fuck out of their people. MMA gambling Twitter, you guys know you're a bunch of fucking animals. You guys know that, and I am right there with you. All right, I guess I'm gonna sadness hedge there and pick Katona because I can't stand hearing him fucking talk. And, like, everybody, like, got on Mackenzie Dern unfairly with that weird thing. And, like, I will say this, like, as somebody who is just weird and loves accents and does them. And I wouldn't even say it's just weird. I found out this actually thing with Tourette's, too. A lot of people with Tourette's do this. Well, they will kind of imitate the person in some way or shape or form when they're talking to them. They don't mean it as an insult. And it's, like, a real worry of ours because we can't fucking help it. So, like, you know, if I'm around a bunch of fucking Boston guys or whatever, or, you know, New York, or, like, you know, I find myself when I was, you know, when I was living in New York and working jocking a register, you know, would you like a small bag with that? Small? I remember, like, why am I saying small? Like a small bag? It's like a small bag? Small. It's like a small bag. It just, it bleeds into you, you know, where you are. I'm absolutely aware of that phenomena in all its weird ways, because I possess those weird things as well. There is also such thing as code switching, where you can legitimately be brought up with something, which is another reason why I went easy with the Dern thing, you know? But I'm not going easy on the Katona thing here. Because someone from Hawaii, like, we have a certain slang of English called pidgin, where we'll actually use words similar, maybe because of the slave trades that my genetics are linked to. I think that's probably why I have the 1% African blood that I do have, is because of the slave trades right through Hawaii. Old Captain Cook there, and the English, and not so surprisingly, our Hawaiian pidgin English that is often made fun of here in America. We use some of the same words that, like, the English use, not so surprisingly, again, like rubbish, right? Rubbish. And then with our weird accents, we pronounce three the same way the Irish do. Oh, three times, brother. Fucking three titles. Three fucking titles. You know, oh, three times the wave here, brah. Right? It's like weird little things like rubbish, right? You know, oh, where's your rubbish can? You're like, what? Rubbish? What? Just like certain things. And when you're back there, when my mom is back there, I notice she'll, like, now that I'm talking to her on the phone and stuff, it's coming back to her, which is cool to hear, especially, like, with all the brain stuff she went through. Like, oh, that it's still back there. It fires back in. So, again, all for that stuff. I know you guys didn't maybe need all that. But, Brad Katona? No, man, no. Like, what the fuck are you speaking? Like, not only that, like, it's some weird fucking Irish and Canadian. Oh, well, he spends time in Ireland and he's Canadian. Brad Katona. Oh, like, no, he fucking, like, I've been around actors. And then there was this one dude who just went nuts one day. Like, I think his name was like Robert Thompson or something. Shout out to Danny Mahoney if you remember this guy. What was his name, Danny? What was his name? But he spoke English to the point, like, we all thought he was English. And someone was like, no, dude's from Arkansas. Like, he's never been to England once. And someone actually confronted him about that. He's like, and he didn't even deny it. I was like, yeah, it's just the way I talk. I don't really know. I don't know why. I just sort of talking like this. And it's what it is. And he was just a weird fucking theater kid, right? And he ended up snapping one day and painting the men's bathroom orange and writing swastikas at it. It was a really dark thing. Anyways, another story for another time, folks. But I've been around fucking phonies before, in other words, and I'm not saying Brad Katona is, but the unfortunate part is that, because he seems like a nice guy, and he probably isn't, by the way, it's just the way he speaks. But my God, does he come off like a fucking phony, where he's like doing where like he's almost like somebody's like, let me try to remember to stay in accent here. Like he'll do those pauses, and then even worse, which I shit on my own, Asian American for Michelle Watterson for. She does a thing where I don't know if it, and again, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but you usually only do this when you were so worried and you were specifically trying to come off a disingenuous way than what you actually are. And Watterson does a lot of that, needless to say. When she was on the desk, did terrible, wasn't invited back. Doesn't seem like, needless to say, because when she tried to be disingenuously who she wasn't, she started speaking like a fucking 4-year-old. Like, I think, and like, if you listen, like, Brad Katona, and not only is he always kind of spoken annoying, he's actually started speaking fucking worse. Like, either the guy has had a Mitch McConnell moment that none of us know about, and he hasn't fully recovered, and I'm not trying to joke about that. Again, I just mentioned my mother about that shit, and, like, that shit's real. But, like, yeah, like, the fuck the way he speaks. That's my breakdown of this fight. All right. Wow, Dan. Jesus Christ. You tell us how you really feel, Dan. Natalia Silva minus 355. Andrea Lee plus 280. I haven't looked into this fight. I will pick Natalia Silva, but at those odds, does it not make you want to take a shot on Andrea Lee? Maybe pick her in the old Tout Master? I won't do that because, again, even though that is a tactic, I literally cannot count one, a big fat zero here, Every time I've done the old, I'm going to pick this person in Toutmaster and this and that. Nope. Every time. It's been wrong. So I'm definitely not going to do that. But I don't blame you for just playing dogs, This is a dog I might play because I'm liking the dog side on this. Marina Moroz plus 130. Lee-Silva minus 155. I know they have a history. I know rematches don't go the same. I wouldn't expect that. Marina Moroz isn't as dependent, thankfully, in the opportunistic armbar. She's got a steadily yet still somewhat inconsistent boxing game, but the fact that she's working at American Top Team, coupled with the fact that she's coupling her game with offensive, more process-based grappling, offensive wrestling and shots along the fence and otherwise, has really helped her. And this could be like a vet lesson fight. I feel like it's going to be a close fight either way. I'm going to look a little more into it because I may want to throw Moroz a unit on her and or enter her in a round robin, maybe not because she's been good to me in the past. But again, this will definitely be the first play of the night, which means I know I'm just donating money at that point. But God forbid, I'm actually going to be optimistic. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I'm actually more optimistic than you guys realize. There was like a couple cards ago. I think even UFC 291, I was really optimistic on. Fucking ate shit on them, of course. Probably some heartbreaking shit. We'll see if we even get to those recaps with time. But that's what I'm leaning toward. All right, how did we do on time? 121. Still long. Jesus Christ. I don't know how much time I'll have to recap stuff, so I will just go through the chat. Thank you guys. Give it a like and whatnot. Last stand. How did a fight between Ian and Magny go from just a welterweight fight to a stand against child abuse? Craziest beef in a while. Yeah, that was really just weird. I wanted to make a joke about that earlier, / half-heartedly tried, but then I realized that everyone's going to be making really cringy, stupid jokes. And it's just going to probably end up in a dark way. And it's just like, ugh. I know I get accused of being, Mr. Lefty or whatever, but at the same time, I'm also Mr. I like to make jokes. I'm all about jokes. And that just seems to be that pisses people on both sides off, which is the ironic part and why I hate, air quotes, both sides of everything, not just politically. Central Wrestling. I don't know what the fuck I am. I'm just trying to live my life, man. Rhea says in Truesdale. No, you didn't say that. No, from the judging. Got that. Rain Lamina. No clever pun this week. Glad to see you again, Dan. Good to see you, Rain Lamina. Good to see the regulars. I don't deserve you in general, especially after a layoff, so the fact that you guys are back here is pretty fucking cool. Ghost Phantom. O'Malley had some pretty risky get-ups from the on fight. Yep. He put himself in a half butterfly, then turtle to slide out. Yep. The Granby's omoplata rolls and the switches, they all can lead to back exposures as well. He did all those. He parlayed some of those two things together, which was cool. I appreciate the shit out of it. I use a lot of that same stuff, but it's, again, not that I'm good, but surprise, surprise, the percentage-wise that I get hit the most with, submissions from the back. Because when you expose your back, you get choked from the back. How it goes, folks. James Kendrick, shelving kicks by Sterling. I know of a Chinese champion who does that. Yes, yep, that as well. That might force. That reminds me, forgot. I was actually going to give my guy Ghost Phantom a shout. I bookmarked one of his gifs on grabbing the kicks Sencha style. Which is what Wei Li showed to do, which was a great addition. She kind of would dip, and Rose made that read, knocks her out right, and then in her fights after that, you see her catching kicks from that side and countering really well, actually. So she shows that she addressed that, which we talked about O'Malley maybe having to shell some kicks. A lot of people having to shell some kicks, right? Lemos may have to shell some kicks too. So the potent striker has weapons taken away off the bat just from the stylistic matchup. James Kendrick, we mentioned Josh Hinger a lot. You are awesome for saying that. You guys deserve credit for it, man. That's why I'm trying to give you guys as much credit as I can on this crappy little platform, but you guys deserve that and much more. Thank you very much. Makato Kayagoku, do you think B Water quote is being misinterpreted by many media members? I've seen so many say it's a sign Whaley will brawl. Are they saying that? Wow, they really don't know their shit. That's like easy layup. But we know what it means, the path leads resistance. Yeah, I spelt it out for the people in my breakdown. I said it refers to either the little, filling space or taking the path of least resistance as far as combat / Bruce Lee citation goes. And if you translate that, that's grappling. And aside from the woo-woo Bruce Lee and leaning into fighter media stuff, which again, I always say, yes, take the interviews with a grain of salt. We look at the evidence, and what does the evidence point to? Who is she recruiting? What is she doing? What skills are trending? Those are the grappling trends, the submission wrestling trends more specifically. So, yeah, absolutely. There's something to it, and it's sad that people are misinterpreting it because that's a fucking layup. Jin Karasu, I am so humbled. We mention Josh almost every week. Yeah, no, that's why I absolutely credit you guys. Super Mateo, yo, finally caught you live. Love the content and the breakdowns. Thank you. Appreciate the first time person on there. It's nice to hear that. I don't know why you like my whining ass, but I appreciate it. Ghost Phantom. I know Weili has a propensity to get hit with right hands. Big chance she went over that during film study. I hope so because Lemos likes to counter the jab, but we'll see with Weili's shot selections, how she likes to set up her combinations. Her natural propensity for hooking combinations may help her, arguably, and that's in that situation. Rain Lamina, Dan diving the usual suspects, giving the usual suspects a shout. I'm so excited. Appreciate you guys. Makoto Kaigoku, by the way, Weili's birthday is listed. It is not August 13th, 89. It is actually September 30th. Oh, so she's not a Leo lion like myself. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. 38 special. Gonna try to get in, maybe that midlife crisis. Gonna try to get in the best shape. I got in good shape last year. I'm gonna try to get in better shape this year. Is what I'm trying to say. Weili actually just 33, so lunar calendar complexity. Interesting. Jin Karasu says, general question, should we respect media members? I mean, you should try to respect everybody, human beings, right? Jin Karasu says, I really like Drake Riggs, even though I know his biases thing and though he admits it. I guess you're saying that you like him because he admits his biases. I like Drake Riggs because he's awesome, first of all. I respect his opinions. I think Drake Rigg has great coverage. I respect whenever I see his scores. But if you're talking about his ability to admit his biases, yeah, he definitely seems like a guy who's got humbleness and humility, which is probably why I also like Drake Riggs as a dude. Seems like a real cool dude. So if that's why you like him, I don't blame you there, Jin Karasu. Hope I'm not misinterpreting that. Synchro Wing. Something that does kind of concern me is what John Wood from Syndicate is part of Weili's corner. I did see that. Is he going to be a part of the corner, though? Or was that like... Because she will recruit a lot of people to work with. And I feel like she used Vegas, which makes sense. It's a medium point between Bangtao and Boston. And you get the PI and all that stuff. So, I just like someone training at Extreme Couture, just because they're training there doesn't mean they're an Extreme Couture fighter. Doesn't mean Eric Nixick is like going over strategy with them. You know what I'm saying? So I'll keep that same energy. But maybe you're right. Synchroing ads, does that concern you since that gym is known for bad game plans? Your words, not mine, and I mainly heard it from this chat. Though, again, you guys' chat's been more accurate than not. Just want to clarify that to, not to cop out here, but I don't know their game plans. I don't know their strategy. I wouldn't say they've necessarily made themselves known for it. I think that's fair to say, right? So, yeah, I will definitely be interested to see who's in her corner, but as long as Hickman Brothers... Hinger, I imagine her game plan. By the time she was, working with Wood, I imagine her game plan's already set. Wood's a great mitt man. The Syndicate's right there next to the PI. I imagine that's a great resource. He is. So, shouts to them. Jin Karasu, I don't know if you caught this in Weili's interview. She said that she doesn't care about being seen as the best, but rather studying each individual matchup to learn from her opponents. That's cool. I didn't catch that. Jimmy Kudo, I know you keep repeating this. It's great to see you, Dan. There are only a few opinions I respect in this space. You're one of them. I appreciate that, Jimmy Kudo. I'm glad you are not just relying on mine, thank God, but I appreciate being one of them. Rain Lamina, better betting question here. What does moneyline mean? Moneyline is the price that you see. So when they list the betting price like minus 250 versus plus 175, those are the money lines. When we talk props, those are like by methods, rounds. When I talk about over-unders, another word for those are totals. So totals, over-unders, props, things like rounds. methods of victory would be considered a prop terminology, and money line is the price set just to back the fighter. It represents their probability of winning. It represents the price you have to pay for a return. So minus 250, they are the favorite because there's a minus, right? Plus means they're the underdog. Minus 250, the number 250. I'd have to put $250 to get a $100 return. That's the easy way to look at it. Plus 175 going the other way. Well, plus means you put 100 and you get that number back. So you would get 175 back. It's a better exchange for your money because they're least likely to win. And it doesn't matter the method if you are playing / buying for that price, that money line. Because as long as that fighter wins, that's what that number represents. It doesn't matter what the total is, how many rounds it goes, their method. If you're on that money line, that representative number, you are kicking for. That's why I say you're kicking for coverage, because it doesn't matter rain, sleet or shine, whatever that post office thing, robbery, submission, TKO, doesn't matter as long as your fighter gets the hand raised. That's what we want, right? Probably won't be doing much recap, but I'll finish your questions because you guys deserve it. Ghost Phantom, need me in here, but I don't watch tough love Austin Hubbard because he has some cool striking ideas against grapplers like the body jab. Yeah, he's got a pretty decent process. Patrick Dana, how we doing, Dan? Good to see you, Patrick Dana. Thank you for dropping in, sir. James Kendrick says, I love Dan's Paul Craig impersonation. Paul Craig. Nothing can outrun a Grey Scotsman. Sorry, don't get me started on that. I was doing some Stallone earlier, but I don't know why I was talking about him. Probably something dirty. Oh, yeah, because I was looking for Demolition Man gifts because Zane Simon got some of the seashells that he was posting, and it made me think of that Demolition Man. Yeah, I know I use the seashells. These come in clear, so I can, put them on my coffee table. Sorry, I always got to go in a sly scat humor. Jim Cross is saying why he mentions that matchup. I mentioned that quote from Whaley's interview about individual matchups because you mentioned sport is about individual matchups. Yep. No, that's a great point. I'm glad she sees it that way too. So that would be cool. Yep. I think it's cool too. All right, 131. We'll go look back last week since that's kind of relevant, I guess. I don't know. Let's see here. UFC Wiki results. Let's do it this way. So we'll just go off the past events that already happened. Past events. Here we go. All right, Luque dos Anjos. Let's see. And I'll recap my picks and plays for this at the very end. Let's see. Yeah, I got reverse swept on this one. Luque defeated dos Anjos. I barely watched this fight. I was just kind of in shock that I was just going to get reverse swept. And I was like, fuck it. My light was already lost. And it was just kind of a grindy fight. It was like, whatever, just a weird fight, Luque was grappling. Dos Anjos was striking, I think. They just got caught up in grappling each other. I don't know, but Dos Anjos moneyline misses. It was even money, given the stuff at play. And I know I wasn't alone in that, but you can't talk about how good of a bet that doesn't cash is if it don't cash. Cub Swanson defeated Akeem Dawodu 29-28. I disagreed with the decision, but I wasn't crying about it, even though people treated me like it. Because again, all you got to do is simply recap a result or simply weigh in on a result, and you're crying about your bets, even though my bets, it was already a losing night, and the decision literally bared no bearing on my bets. But yeah, I'd have to go back with a fine-tooth comb. It's just more of the fact that, I think the better scorecard is for Dawodu, but because of him being rocked at the end, and again, what I said about immediate, impactful over cumulative, there's no denying that Hakeem was the cumulative striker, and it's arguably Hakeem's fault at the end of the day for not staying on that body work after having Cub hurt. I mean, he does stay on the body work as far as the knees and the body. Not all were quality knees, but there's some really good ones in there that Hakeem throws, and people don't, like I always say, regardless of the cage positioning, they don't give those body knees and close the credit they deserve. But optically, it's not great because you're not doing much. it doesn't look like you're doing much, right? Even though you're already winning the round and you're only further submitting your lead in those clinch positions. And the dangerous part about having the word, and the way people are interpreting it and trying to be reductive in their, even more reductive in their interpretations of immediate overcumulative by going, damage is all that matters, damage. Or with other, when they're trying to make language for new rules about like the positioning of fighters after fouls, repositioning or stand-ups or this or that, like, who is working toward a fight finishing, like, it's like not, passing half guard is not fight finishing, but it's definitely really fucking important, and it's advancing, it's fight advancing. How about we use those words, fight advancing, instead of saying close but clear, right? It's a, it's a close, so it could go either way. Competitive but clear is more the words we're looking for. Advancing, not close to fight finishing, because it gets us in this weird territory where we're being reductive, we're narrowing the hole, and we're whilst simultaneously upping the subjectivity on something that's already dangerously fucking subjective. And even though, Dawodu definitely appeared to be hurt by that fight, and, if the round keeps going, who knows how it keeps going. But that's not how you judge fights, on what could have happened. You judge on what happens in the round, and even judging that Dawodu was hurt, and again, I didn't go back and rewatch it. I'm not crucifying or crying about a score like others on the timeline on a weekly basis, okay, whether they bet or not go at it harder than me. I'm simply pointing out the fact that I still would give that round to Dawodu. And again, just body work not being like the examples that this is not new. This is what happens. And what upsets me is not the decision. It's that everybody is getting upset about it. And they're calling for judges' jobs, they're calling for names. And what I picked up again from the training is like, I didn't need the training to tell me that it's a hard job, but there are really good people that are really well trained, that are really well meaning. It's the tools that they're given. It's the systems that are in play. You'd be surprised at how many officials, refs, have a lot of the same opinions we do about changes, potential changes to complaints about the current system. They actually share some of that stuff, although they wouldn't say it publicly or say it quite in the same way. They actually share a lot of those thoughts. But they, too, are handcuffed, and that's why I sympathize, and that's why they get jaded by the Dominic Cruzes and the Joe Rogans of the world, because they just get fucking piled up on when they're there fighting the good fight, and they actually feel the same way, but they, too, are handcuffed by the bullshit rules and stuff that are passed down by commissions and so forth that are pushed downwards toward them. They're having to deal with it, too. They're a part of this symbiotic cycle, that are feeling the effects of it, and they're doing their damnedest. It comes down to tools a lot of the times. And I'm not defending the judges there. I don't agree with the scores. But what upsets me more than the judges or the scores is the fact that people are going to keep complaining. They're not going to take the couple minutes to read the criteria, much less take the time to understand it, much less talk to the judges, much less go to the training courses, much less take the courses and pass the courses. Things your boy here has done. And they're going to complain about it. And then the other people that are defending about it, that are on their high horses about it, and they've taken the course, I don't even think I've gotten any mention or love from any of those people. Not that I deserve it, I guess, but that part of the media sect, could give a shit that I do it. Hell, my own outlet didn't even have me on the judging thing, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I get frustrated, because I'm sitting here doing the fucking work and giving the fucking answers. That Goodwill Hunting thing where I'm just fucking lighting the fucking things on paper. I'm lighting this shit on fire, because I'm tired of watching you guys fumble around and fuck it up. I'm sitting here giving you the fucking answers every time. Literally 90% of these fucking fights, it's body and leg work, arguably not being properly adjudicated is why you guys are upset. I'm not saying I have a fix to the system. I'm not saying burn this judge to the ground. I'm not on either side. I'm talking about the main talking point. I know I'm not the first to say this. I know I'm not the only person to think this. But why am I the only fucking person week to week on the timeline saying it then? When it actually matters, when we're actually putting it to paper, putting it to a situation to, God forbid, explain, increase understanding, find fucking middle ground. No. And when I do, I get shit for it. And, you're just mad because you're having, they'll look at it and like, well, he's just having a bad betting night. And I'll just get lumped in with that shit, It is, it's just, and that's what's annoying, And round 2 was the hot round, right? We saw that if he would have kept it up. And, there were just moments like, it wasn't like the, we'll get to, maybe if we recap that far, the quarantine, my man Billy Q, round 3, like, how did I not cash that with Damon Jack? Like, there's just some of those, like, oh my God. So that definitely hurt because I had the under 2.5 for 1.5 units, and I had DeWater round 2, round 3. I had Frem round 2, Frem inside the distance, and then I had Frem sub in the, I know I just jumped down a bit, but that was, like, heartbreaking, too, because round 2, again, was the hot round. He almost finished the fight multiple times, and by submission multiple times. But, again, I don't cash any tickets from that. That's like it's like one of those things where it's almost like $1,000 swing when you add up everything, and it didn't matter because we didn't hit it. Would have paid off the round robin too because going back in the right order, Khalil Roundtree. I don't like putting chalky legs in. I only did it this week because I got limited, so which I guess was a good thing because granted, I was going to put round 1, which still would have cashed, and that would have been a plus number, granted, but it wouldn't have mattered because it was only surprise 1 leg out of 4. Remember, just give me the red light. Just you're reverse sweeping me. Even on a night where I'm reverse sweep, I still got to get the fucking tease of the round robin where they're going to give me the fucking 1 for 4 just to let you know all you needed was one more, motherfucker. And then to make that worse, if that's not fucking bad enough, on top of a reverse sweep, it's always the 1 for 4 with at least 1, at the very least 1. I'm not talking about, he put his hand around his neck, he almost had the sub. I almost cashed that trying to make me feel better. Like, no, like legitimate, the analysis, the round, the method, everything was fucking there. How did that not fucking cash? There's always one of those in there too. I would just rather look like a dummy and be reverse sweep. But even on nights where I look like the dummy that I am and am reverse sweep, nope. Just gotta string me the fuck along. Gotta string me the fuck along. I had my betting career in the last 2 years. Sorry. Khalil Roundtree defeated Chris Dukakis round 1 PKO. Feel bad for Dukakis there. Feel good for my guy Roundtree. Yasmin Lucindo defeated Paulo Viana via submission. Props to anybody who had Lucindo by sub. I had Lucindo by decision, not by play. That was my pick. Was tempted to play AJ Dobson, and I needed dogs, right? But it's just at the end of the day, it was just like, he didn't really have the finishing power. It probably was going to be by a closely contested decision if Dobson did it. But I'm like, but if that's the case, like, I don't know, man. Like, he just is not lights out takedowns, not lights out ground game, not lights out striking. Unless he catches Chukwi, which Chukwi could be caught. So I felt like it was playing like, Dobson catching him in round 1. Otherwise, Chukwi cruises. And people that I respect scored the first 2 rounds for Chukwi for the leg kicks. But again, guy who headhunts got the decision, right? So there's that. And I guess I'm glad I stayed away from Chukwi, but it didn't matter. I still, MMA gods got it laced, man. They got it covered just in case I change my mind. They know me too well. So I got to either just change up my game, I guess, and just start picking fighters that I genuinely don't think should win, and the evidence points against, because that's the smart thing to do, I guess. Josh Frem defeated Jamie Pickett by decision. Oh, that fucking hurt. Marcus McGee looking like a fucking DB extra from DB4 over there on the cover of DB4 or CB4, sorry. With fucking mixed with Drexel from True Romance over there defeating JP. But poor JP buys, man. Oof. Oh man. Terrence McKinney defeated Mike Breeden via TKO. Pick McKinney, didn't play him. Isaac Dulgarian defeated Francis Marshall. I missed this fight. Apparently Dulgarian's someone to watch. Every time I see his name, I just think of like Mike Tyson going Skullduggery, Skulldarian, Skullduggery, Skullduggery, Skullduggery. Martin Headbutter. Apparently made quick work of Josh Carbo Parisian. Jacqueline Emery defeated Montserrat Ruiz. Missed that. Damone Blackshear defeated Jose Johnson. Going to go back to rewatch that again and some other Blackshear fights again before I do my quick picks. And Luana Santos defeated Juliana Miller. Missed that. Still got 15 more minutes. Let me take some Fezza recap. See if I can just knock the recaps out. If you guys have any ABC questions, you can ask, but no one really gives a shit about that. I don't blame you. Did have a lot of cool stats, and I still don't know what I'm going to write up because my guy Eric McGracken, awesome, by the way. Shouts to him. Shouts to the Fighters Athletes Voice Committee. By far the best and most important part of this commission meeting and the rest of the conferences going forward. I've been putting excellent videos and digestible stuff together. Kind of makes it pointless for me to put out because it kind of like nailed it all, to be honest, as I'm a slow person who is a slave to the schedule. And just despite having all the reasonings for it and excuses, they are excuses at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I am Mr. Late Procrastination, who gives a fuck guy. So who cares? Follow the important people. Sandhagen Font. Yeah, that was a tough one. We stayed away from Sandhagen Font, thankfully. It was a really boring fight. This was a fight. I'm not much for stand-ups, but this was a fight where, again, Kevin McDonald was saying he wasn't refereeing this fight. I don't believe. I believe it was my guy Herzog, where I love Herzog. But this would be one of those examples where stand-ups, I would be okay with a stand-up. Kevin McDonald was saying, or I should say Blake Rice, actually, for the ref training. saying, when the fighters keep finding themselves to the same position and have shown they can't really advance from it, then that becomes time where you can start to kind of shorten your patience on stand-ups. And that was like a textbook example with that fucking half guard, quarter mount, weird butterfly setup that they just kept getting stuck in. Tatiana Suarez defeated Jessica Andrade by guillotine choke. That felt good because, I called everything, not just from the round, not just the method, but even the striking on the feet and the way the front headlock was going to shake out, that was always going to be a safety option. Even nailing little fucking details like that. And it made me feel good because even though this night was a losing night, I'm guessing it was a losing night. I don't know. Lopez sub hit. Hadley said no, did not hit. Fucking did not hit. Jesus Christ, how'd that not hit? 1 for 4. I did win. I think it was the winning nights have only been 2 unit nights, and then the losing nights are big fucking losses, of course. So, and I'm still losing a lot. So it's that's why I'm still down and down a decent amount right now. Again, not as much as other people, but I'm not that person, man. I'm not trying to. The other people that I'd be referencing are people that I like and are friends that I'm fucking rooting for. I'm not going to use other people to make me fucking feel better. But yeah, for what it's worth, I'm not down as others, but, that's not what the space treats me like, man. They come after my ass, as you guys see this year. But yeah, this one felt good. And, it's also the reason why the last weekend's co-main event felt bad with the Swanson and Duwada one as well. Not the decision, because, again, by that point I was already at a loss. But just, I had friends that bet Swanson, friends that bet the over, friends that bet start round 3. And, again, I root for my friends. If anybody shouts out people / roots for friends, it's fucking me, okay? So miss me with that shit. That being said, we all have a little bit of hater in us. And I will fully admit it when I do. And I know I'm on a bad streak, and I'm not someone you should be tailing because of the bad streak. And even if I was on a good streak, I am not the one who's wired. I'm not selling picks out here. I'm not saying you should follow me. I'm not saying I'm the best, which makes this karmic run extra fucking comical. Because it's could you maybe give the karmic run to the people that maybe could use that lesson? And maybe not me. It doesn't really need that fucking lesson again and again and again. It is annoying because the one thing I actually been quietly really good on is I've been really good since I've taken over the co-main event duties for Action Network, and to the point where I would want to really tally it, and I still probably can, and I feel like I would come out more than on top. And again, not just winning bets, winning picks, literally calling things down to the rounded method. And yet, and again, I don't blame it. I don't blame anybody for not fading, but again, just, and you see your circle and stuff, you see everybody, and it's how they feel. It's not that they're fading me or anything, but you're fading me, huh? And that's why I really want to hit the co-main, because I feel like I've been just on a fucking ridiculous run with these co-main events to where I'm not the type, and especially to my friends, but I was going to absolutely fucking rub it in everybody's face going, fuck y'all for fading me. Fuck that. I've been on. And then, of course, when I feel that way, when I need the win, of course it fucking doesn't happen. But this one did, It was a good call. If I dare say so, and actually pat myself on the back, it was a better call than I see half the people getting fucking ridiculous amounts of flowers that I don't, never will, still haven't, won't get for my calls. But whatever. Even in these losing weeks, as bad as it is, I hit fucking really good analysis each week. I got to remind myself that, even if I don't feel like I get the deserved due flowers for it, or even in some cases at all. But hey. Dustin Jacoby defeated Kennedy Nchuku TKO. This was one of those ones where I should have trusted my gut. I'm glad I at least bet. You call myself being chicken shit for picking Kennedy, but the only play I had was Jacoby round 1 plus 1,000. and that came home, so that was really nice. Again, Kennedy just gets rocked, and it was just one of those options there. Diego Lopez, Gavin Tucker, defeated him by armbar, which again hit the 1 for 4 of my round robin classic. Right, that one hits. Sad for Gavin Tucker. Tanner Boser stayed away from Boser, picked him, but stayed away from betting him. He comes through. This is one that wasn't close. I'm definitely not going to be complaining about this part of the round robin. Bautista-Blackshear by sub. I had never had a shot in hell. That was more just I couldn't think of anything to add. It was a cheeky ad. And I did pick Bautista-Blackshear, but he's not a guy that I'm interested in laying the chalk on. Good thing I didn't. Ludovic Klein defeated him. Kyler defeated Jaime Barcelos. I missed that fight. Apparently it was good. Carlston Harris defeated Jeremiah Wells. I picked Harris. I didn't miss this fight. Apparently he was winning. And then, again, crazy comeback. I wasn't on it, so I'm definitely not complaining about it. But, again, for what it's worth, whether I was picking Harris or Wells, a fight that I wasn't on, and if anything, it just hurts my pick percentage, if anything. So, again, all the weird fights don't seem to go my way. Quarantillo defeated David Jackson by unanimous decision. Oh, my God. We had everything we could want where, I didn't even think we were going to get to round 3 at a certain point. And then when you get to round 3 and you bet round 3, you could not ask for anything more. And, maybe I need to stop doing, the good. I usually do that gif, because, that's my middle ground where I'm excited. And I want to acknowledge that, hey, guys, remember me over here? Remember who was calling this shit? This shit's live. Who's in it? Let's go. And, again, for Mr. Negative over here, and being accused of being Mr. Negative tenfold than I am. Again, I actually get positive, but what happens when I get positive and start putting out that juju? Again, shout out to my guy Clint. I love it. When he was like, I'm going to sweep this card. I could never do, and he had a fucking record card. I don't know if it was this card or another one, but I want to give that man his flowers. He deserves it. He definitely deserves it for, he's been getting attacked by more people than I do, and so I'm rooting for that guy to have a win, because he got attacked by the same dickless motherfuckers who came after me this year. So at least one of us are winning and gets to stick it to them, even though I can't. But yeah, when I try to channel that energy, of course, it's a fucking insta jinx. I mean, how did that not fucking cash? I had Quarantillo inside the distance. I had Quarantillo round 3 plus 900 a half unit. Quarantillo round 3 plus 900, which plus that plus 225, that would have been 4 or 5. That was literally over $1,000 swing right there, folks. That fucking hurt. Especially because just before that, Cody Durden defeated Jake Hall, and it wasn't anything against Cody Durden, man. I don't, again, for Mr. Dan Tom, you can blame, you hold racist, he's going to be crying. What are you talking, dude? Fucking, I gave nothing but Dricus du Plessis props for beating my favorite fighter, Robert Whittaker. I haven't mentioned Cody Durden's, anti-Chinese post-fight thing for, his last 3 fights on the podcast, folks. I don't even mention that shit. I pick him. I give him his due daps. I give him more of his due daps for that dog in him. Shout out to my guy Dan Levy, who, again, I know these guys, may have big personalities and do their betting things, the guys Clints and the Dan Levies of the world. But for whatever it's worth, folks, I know, I don't know these guys personally, but I know these guys well enough to know that they're real motherfuckers. When I look at my DMs and people checking in, making sure I'm good, and stuff like that, those dudes are right at the top of that list. So nothing but love there, and props to Dan and his guy Durden on that one. That's not what I mean at all, but just again more from the, sorry, woe is me, the ridiculous kind of luck. Again, just give me the fucking red light. Don't give me the yellow light and then let all the other lights go before me and then skip me and then let me go green. Just fucking... I accept that I'm not going to be the person that catches the green lights in life. But why do you got to fucking twist the knife? I accept that I'm going to be stabbed. Why the twisting? Over and over and over. And just being that close. I lost fucking easily 3 months of my life just getting ready to celebrate these submissions. Because that would have been another plus 220, plus the plus 225, and plus that plus 900. Oh my God. I mean, that's almost $2,000 right there. From the round robin alone. I don't know what that would have put me on the night for just straight up plays. I mean, again, Sean Woodson defeats Dennis Bazookia. And Asu Alambayo defeats Ode Osborne. I missed those fights. 154. Let me just try to just recap the rest real quick if I can. I think there's only like one. And yeah, maybe only like one more card to recap, and then we'll be fucking done with it. I'll try to speed recap these if I can. Fuck it, you guys are getting a long episode. And I did the breakdown first so people can fucking suck a dick. Nothing wrong with sucking dicks. The people that will complain probably hate it, so they can do it. US 291 was Poirier Geisha 2. Yeah, that just hurt because that was my night. I needed Dustin Poirier. And got knocked out. And I said round 2 is going to be the live round for Justin Gaethje. That's his particular hot round. I think I had Poirier round 3, Poirier KO in a round robin. I had Poirier round 3, 0.33 units. And that was it. Yeah, that was it. That was really all I had. I didn't have a ton of Poirier exposure, but I just needed it by the end of the night. And because, again, I had 1 for 4. I had Maverick by sub plus 200. We get another plus 200. We more than pay off the round robin. And probably would. All right, I think we resume broadcast okay. If you guys want to comment real quick as I try to wrap this up, let me know if it's okay. I'm going to blow through the rest of this. And hopefully it's not too much editing post. But yeah, please comment if you guys are still there in the stream. Just type in the letter Y. I don't give a fuck. Let me know you're still there, and I will continue through the results and get out of here. Derek Lewis defeated Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Let's see here. We got you. You're good, Dan. Okay, cool. We're back up. I cashed Lewis KO half a unit plus 240. I missed round 2 plus 1,000, which I felt really good about. Given the way De Lima fades, but of course he goes out there and just does it like right away, and it was great. But I was just like, I knew I knew I wasn't out of the woods yet, and B, it was just upsetting because like, and again, I'm cashing, my friends are cashing, I should be happy. You can rightfully call me a hater here, but I'm also upset because everybody's acting like a genius for picking Derek Lewis by KO / a heavyweight underdog. / Derek Lewis to win by KO. Again, that's his only winning conditions is he's the dog. And it was like a genius pick, and I was on it too, but I was just like, this wasn't a genius pick. This was kind of obvious. Again, you got to understand too, I come from a bias where I'm very anti Rogerio de Lima. Not a fan of him. Very terrible. Won a bunch of fights he shouldn't have. And just to see everybody like, you know, being on the wrong end and people treating Rogerio de Lima like he's good and having to sit there and watch everybody victory lap, you know, on the Andrei Arlovskis and all the other times where I fucking ate shit after going on a crazy run by auto betting him by submission. The guy got smart. I didn't get smart because I didn't realize, oh yeah, he moved to the division of heavyweight where there's only like 3 submission artists. Oh, no shit. This guy doesn't lose as much anymore. So, you know, poo-poo on me for that. But that being said, that still doesn't mean I can't get annoyed for everybody acting like geniuses, like acting like De Lima is like good, you know? So that's annoying enough as it is. And then to see everybody flip and turn and go, oh, you guys should have known De Lima was bad. We're geniuses for picking Lewis. And I'm just like, I've kept that same energy for both guys the whole time. It's just, even in a win, I can't be happy. See, I'm such a miserable fucking cunt. All right, Kevin Holland defeated Michael Chiesa. Bobby Green defeated Tony Ferguson. Submission, very sad for Tony Ferguson. Kevin Holland defeated Michael Chiesa. We already went over this. This one I didn't even come close to. I just look like an idiot. Just stupid. Dumb. Deserve it. Props to anybody on Holland. Bonfim defeated Jay Giles, missed that. CJ Vergara defeated Vinicius Salvador, missed that. Kopylov defeated Ribeiro, missed that. Matthews defeated Darius Flowers, I missed that. Euros Medic defeated Samuelsberger, missed that. Actually, I did see that. That was a pretty cool KO. No opinion on the stoppage, though. Sorry. Maverick Cachoeira, I did catch that. We cashed that submission, of course. And it was still a losing night. I don't think we recapped UFC London. I lost that one too, 0.322 units. I didn't get fucked over on that one as far as the round robins, I don't think, because it was Herbert decision could have won, but I didn't even get the 1 for 4, in other words. McCann KO was never close. She didn't survive the 1 scare she would have had to. Aspinall sub didn't happen, just ended instantly. Wood KO did not happen, but I don't know if there was moments for that. Wouldn't have mattered anyways, even if Herbert got the decision like he was supposed to. I wouldn't have gotten anything for the round robin, although if Herbert got the decision, I would have cashed my straight play on him. And if Grant, which many people thought he should have got the decision, both bet and didn't, I didn't cry about either of those live. I'm not crying about it now. Just recapping the result. Letting you know again, close decision. Could have saved my night that I was on. I know, brace yourself. Didn't go my way. Roberts was never close. That was the other straight play. Aspinall round 1, biggest play of the night cashed. So it was still cashing the biggest plays of the night for what that's worth. And again, even though my pick was wrong on the co-main event, I still continued my winning betting streak because the bet was the under, was the other biggest bet. And McCann-Storyolenko under 2.5. So for what that was worth, the analysis wasn't too bad. But again, the good thing about going through a long recap like that is that as much of it as me fucking complaining is the reductive take, I guess, you guys can also see if you actually look at the context of those, like, how many of those were fucking close, like, calls, and how many of those were, decisions, or whatever. And where was I on the side of not one, not two, every fucking one of those results? We just went like four or five cards there. So again, miss me with that variance talk. As Mr. Pink said, some guys are lucky, some guys ain't. So we're going to hope to turn that around. Thank you guys for listening to that. I'm going to clean up the comments, recap picks and plays. We'll get the fuck out of here off of a long episode. That'll be just over 2 hours. Awesome show, Dan. Thank you. Rio says in Truesdale. Great show, Dan. Thank you, Jin Karasu. Good to see you in good health. I don't know about good health, but we're trying to get there. Some blood labs, got nerve issues. Got to get a massage. The mind, everything's been shitty. Ghost Phantom, Jason Herzog, official ref of the PYM podcast. He's got my vote. I got a lot of love for a lot of the refs, but but you guys know I'm a big Jason Herzog fan as well. Big Kevin McDonald fan. By the way, one of the things I did ask when I was asking the actual, when I was that tweet where I was doing that, I think you should leave the fecal matter procedures question. I really did ask that because they played a thing of a regional show where a guy shit, and then in the rules it says the person who committed the lost bodily fluid will be declared the loser of the contest. But I was like, but what if it's a quick scramble and you don't see where it came from, right? And it's messy, it's like smeared up a bit on their legs, like with the Justine Quiche thing. And I'm like, and no one wants to cop to it, Maybe they can't. Maybe they're both, concussed and shit. Like, where do you go there? And, Blake was just like, he didn't really know how to answer. And luckily we had, we had Mark Goddard and Herb fucking Dean sitting in half of our class, interjecting. And they would actually even get into arguments amongst themselves, educated arguments, how they should be, folks. Which is fine to have, but it was really interesting to see. And Mark Goddard just turned to me, he's like, you reach into the shorts, mate. You stick your hands in those fight shorts, mate. You'll find out who it is, sure enough. I was like, oh my God, Goddard. That was great. Real says in Truesdale, we back up. That's right, back up. We back. I know you guys talking about the stream, but I'm gonna be quoting Stringer Bell, from The Wire. Tell the streets we back up. We back. I don't know if I'm back, folks, but I'm trying to be. I want to at least come back for this week. Want to make sure I've come back and be consistent for you guys. It's just been really, really tough with everything going on. Luke Gowans just stopping by to say hi and glad you're back, Dan. Going to watch it tomorrow. Thank you, Luke. Really appreciate it. Hope you hear this shout on the restream. Part of it, James Kendrick. I don't get why you get hate. You do good work. I don't know. I guess I can get why I get hate, but thank you for saying that. Herzog is also the official ref of the Jack Slack podcast. Well, that makes me comfortable because I trust Jack's opinion more than mine, so at least I'm not too crazy there. All right, guys, going to recap picks and plays for this here long shit show. All right. Fuck, I hate the way they fucking order these. Let's just do it this way, Dan. How about that? All right. Taking Sterling over O'Malley. Hold on one second. All right. Don't have a timer stamp there. Taking Sterling over O'Malley. Taking Zhang over Lemos. Taking. Let's Leaning Magny, to be honest, over Garry. I know it's stupid, so don't follow me off that cliff. I may end up still picking Garry, but I definitely ain't playing Garry. Leaning Bautista over Blackshear. Again, check me on my quick picks and prognostications for both those. Picking Vera over Vera-Munhoz. Taking Tavares over Weidman. Taking HOBOCOP over Tiuliulin, but I'll stay away from that one. Probably take Hubbard over Holobaugh. Hearts with Holobaugh. Taking Katona over Gibson. Obviously, my heart's with Gibson. Probably leaning Petroski over GM3. We'll see about that. Check me on my picks and plays on Fight Day at Dan Tom MMA on Twitter, not X. Probably taking Natalia Silva over Lee, but staying away from that one. Probably taking Moroz over Silva, but sit tight to see if I play that one. I'm actually going to try to make time to look into that one. As far as plays go, shouts to all you motherfuckers. Shouts to my guy D Loves Turmeric, theturmeric.com. Use Protect 15% off, by the way. Shouts to them. Shouts to the MMA analysis, because maybe I just will go Magny Madoff, right? I haven't listened to them yet, but I wonder if they're going to be on the same as me, because we're all old fucks who kind of go the same way on some of those things. Not you guys aren't as old as me, and you guys aren't fucks, but you know what I mean. It's endearing. But yeah, I'm going to go with a plus 237 parlay, under 3.5 rounds for both the main and co-main event with Tavares, 1.5 units, plus 237. Taking Sterling by sub, plus 181 unit. Round 2, what did I get that? Plus 600 or something for half a unit. Zhang by sub, plus 400, 1 unit. Zhang, round 2, was it plus 450, half a unit. Round 3, I think I got, plus 750 or something. I put 0.33 units. Scottie Pippen there, 1.88 units total exposure for Zhang on that fight. Who knows if I end up, whether I pick Magny or not, how can I not sprinkle on Magny by decision? So don't be surprised to see that as a straight play and or in the round robin, maybe even a unit play on Magny if I'm getting frisky and I don't like Moroz or GM3, right? Who knows there? Again, check my quick picks and plays and prognostications. That's all I got for you for plays here, but for the round robin, it'll probably be looking like something like Zhang sub, Sterling sub, maybe Magny by decision makes it on there. And maybe like a dog like a GM3 or Moroz or something if I end up picking them, but just I don't have enough balls to play them, and I want some type of exposure. That's what I go with there. At Dan Tom MMA. Thank you all. Good luck on your picks and plays, and always protect your neck.